Okay, I'd like to continue by finishing up my discussion on tuning and segueing into the beginnings of double stops. For both, you need to know how to use the bow in a way that doesn't disrupt the pitch. If you add too much bow weight, or you're sliding between the bridge and the fingerboard, you don't have a steady or sustained tone, and it disrupts dramatically what you're trying to hear, so that you can actually bend the string out of tune with your right hand, which has nothing to do with your left hand being out of tune. So my advice for tuning, when you first start tuning, put your bow at the tip and start balancing on two strings. Small motions. Like that. After you can do small bows, keeping the bow on two strings, you can start to elongate the bow, maybe half. After you can do that, then you'll work towards the frog, and eventually you'll be able to do full and sustained bows. But you want to be able to do that while you're tuning your instrument, so that you can listen carefully and not be distracted or confused by things that your bow are doing. You just focus on the intonation. Now, to begin double stop studies, you must also be able to do the same thing. Double stops are produced by putting your bow on two strings, playing two notes at once, and then, as the term stops implies, you're stopping the string, and double stops means you're stopping two strings. So you're actually creating two pitches and you're bowing them together at the same time. We're going to do introduction to double stops, which means you're only going to do one stop, but you're going to bow with an open string. Okay? If you have the ability to play on two strings, you're ready for this. Alright, the first thing I want to show you is a rather confusing demonstration. On A string, first finger, I'm going to play a B, and I'm going to play it with open E, and I'm going to be listening for flutter, beats. We call them beats, but it's flutter or distortion in the sound. If I go too low, you'll hear that noise. It just sounds out of tune to some. As I get closer to being in tune, it gets smoother, and then it rings pure. Now, if I leave that one there and I play with open D string, it's not going to be a smooth sound. You might think, yeah, that sounds alright, but what happens if I go lower? Did it get smoother? Really smooth. That's where I got rid of the beats. But now if I leave it there and play with open E, it's significantly low. So I have to move it higher again to make it smooth. So what that shows you is that there's not just one place to play your beat, right? Depending on what note you're tuning it to. Now, there's a lot of theory behind this. The first thing I'm going to say is, if you already are studying theory and you know what your perfect intervals are, your fourths, fifths, your octaves, and your unisons, then you have a head start on all this. If you're not, perhaps you should ask your teacher if it's okay if you get a theory book. Theory Time is one book that I use with the younger students. It's up to your teacher, but if you're doing theory, it helps your knowledge of what perfect intervals are. Intervals are created by two pitches. You count your starting note as one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes would be a fifth, and that's how we tune our strings.